Hi, I'm Dr. Gail Lewis. This is the third of the 3 teaching videos on relationships that I promised you. Videos where you will learn to resolve conflict, communicate better, and improve or enhance your relationship. In the first teaching tape, I described how to have a good fight. In the second one, I described maleese and femaleese, the gender differences in communication that cause problems in a relationship. Here, I'm going to give you 4 teaching tools to help with communication with a man, and I'm going to help you assess if your teaching is successful. I'll end with what you can do if your teaching is not successful. Let's start with, what do I mean by teaching? Certainly, you don't want to insult or be pedantic with a man, like telling him he doesn't know something or you're going to teach him. That wouldn't work very well, would it? Right. But think about teaching this way. There's usually one person in a couple who's more knowledgeable about a subject, whether it's planting roses or spices for cooking or finances, and the one who knows more about a subject is the teacher. There's no doubt that for the most part, women are more knowledgeable about communication and relationships. You probably think about it more, you talk to your friends, you read books, you may have gone to a therapist, so it makes sense that you would be the teacher. In fact, you may already be teaching him. For instance, how many times have you directly told him what you want, like, I really appreciate it if you would look at me when you talk to me? Or if you've told him indirectly, I told you 1,000 times not to whatever. You may not have thought about these as teaching efforts, but that's what you were doing. The question is your form of teaching working? If you've been trying for a long time to teach him what you need without success, you may have given up, feeling hurt and resentful. You may have taken it personally that he doesn't care enough to do things to please you. Here's your dilemma. Are you teaching him in a way that he can hear, or no matter what you do, is he refusing to learn? I'm going to share 4 teaching tools based on my 42 years of clinical experience. These are just a few of the many things presented in my book, Why Don't You Understand? A Gender Relationship Dictionary. Okay, the first teaching tool is emotional foreplay. By this point in your life, you know that candlelight dinners, romantic trips, and even the proverbial diamonds are lovely. But they can fade as fast as the candles burn down. They may add to a glowing heart, but the wick must first be lit. And for most women, that wick is communication and sharing personal feelings. Emotional foreplay is sexually exciting and increases desire for women. It's a turn-on. The best aphrodisiac, then, is a 4-letter word that ends with K. When I tell that to men, they smile as if they understand, until I add, it doesn't start with an F. Then they're confused. But talk is what makes women feel emotionally connected with a man. You may know what I'm getting ready to say, but may not have had words to express it. Men feel more intimate after making love, whereas women need to feel the intimacy before they can make love. So, what can you do? Share with him the gender differences about lovemaking. Talk to him at a quiet time about your gender styles, without putting him on the defensive, but also while being direct. Tell him what you need for you to want to make love to him. It's where you both want to go, so you have to teach him clearly and calmly what you need. The second teaching tool is verbal tennis. Women talk in what I call verbal tennis. I say something, and you let me know that you've heard it by making a comment back, or asking a question, or nodding your head, or saying uh-huh, or telling a story related to what I just said. After we rally back and forth on one topic, one of us hits the conversation to another topic. That's why I call this back and forth rhythm verbal tennis. I hit the topic over the net, you return it back, and we go back and forth until we move to a new topic. Men's talking style is different. They speak in parallel talk. They talk until they don't need to say anything more, until they finish what they have to say. They do not expect and do not anticipate that you will make a comment back. To women, this looks like a one-sided conversation because there's no rallying. Because of these differences, you may feel the man is not interested in what you have to say when you are talking, and you may think he doesn't care what you have to say when he is talking. Men don't realize that women expect this back and forth rhythm to conversations, but they can learn it, especially when you give them the image of verbal tennis. Now, the third teaching tool is switching shoes. This tool is for getting out of conflict. Arguments, as I said before, are not bad. They are only bad when they are not handled well. Switching shoes is a tool that will help you resolve conflict better. Most times, arguments occur when each side thinks what they are saying is correct, only the other is saying it wrong. Of course, most people don't pursue an argument believing that they are wrong. Both sides try harder and harder to convince the other of the rightness. And of course, that never works. Therefore, getting inside each other's shoes helps you both understand how the other came to that point of view. That doesn't mean you have to like the other's point of view, but at least you can see how the other person got there. For a better chance of this to work, let him go first. Remember, you are the teacher, and you can do this best by demonstration. Tell him you want to make sure you really understand what he is saying. So you're going to try to stand inside his shoes by repeating what you think he has said. If you have it correct, he'll feel heard. If you missed his point, or if he didn't express it well enough, have him repeat it again. You may have to do this several times until you are sure that what you have heard is what he is meaning to say. Then switch shoes. Have him get inside your shoes and see if he can repeat back what you are saying. Sometimes you may have to go back and forth a few times to make sure you really are hearing what the other is saying. The fourth teaching tool is mantle and the shoebox. When a man has something special, he gently wraps it up in something soft, and then he lays it in a shoebox, and he softly and gently tucks it under his bed. He knows where it is. He knows it's safe. He doesn't have to think about it anymore. If he ever wants to, he can get it out, but he doesn't need to because, as I said, he knows it's safely tucked away. Now, for women, it's very different. As you can imagine, if you have something special, you want to display it on your mantle. You look at it every time you go by. You dust it, you rearrange it, you show it off to people when they come in. You need the something special out in the open and available to be appreciated. Do you see the difficulty here? The something special, of course, is your relationship. Men work hard to make sure they have the something special. But once they have it, it isn't that they don't appreciate you. They just don't believe or haven't been taught to show you they appreciate you. They had their love for you safely tucked away under the bed. They love having you in their life, even if they keep their appreciation under the bed. Knowing that, you can stop personalizing it when he is not being verbally expressive. And if you don't take it personally, then it's easier to ask for what you want. For example, you may tell him, "One of the ways I feel you care is if you would touch my shoulder as you walk by me." Or, "When we're watching TV, if you would massage my feet without my asking, that would be wonderful." Or whatever you need that shows that you care. Or whatever you need that shows that he cares. That, of course, means you have to be direct and specific about what you want. Men do have a problem with female style of indirectness. Okay, so here comes the question. If you do all of this, how can you assess if your teaching is being successful? And what do you do if it isn't? If he doesn't make any changes? Let's start with the simple one. How to assess if your teaching is successful. And it is simple. You'll feel better. You'll see he's trying. You'll appreciate his efforts, even if it's not 100%. What can you do, though, if you don't see any changes in him? Hold on, because you may not like what I'm going to say. Briefly put, love him or leave him, but quit your bitching. Love him or leave him, but quit your bitching. Let me explain what I mean. If you really have tried MenAreTheyTeachable, which we talked about last time, if you have tried learning these 4 tools from today, and if you've really looked at your own part and what may be contributing to the ongoing problems, then you really have done all you can do to help him change. So there's only one thing left to do. Stop. Too often, women keep trying to change the man. It's like you think, maybe finally he'll get it this time if I just try it one more way. That means you have to have a heart-to-heart talk with yourself. Can you live with what you have? You may not like it, but if you know nothing will ever change, is it bad enough to leave? Or can you adjust your expectations? This is where your quit your bitching is important. When you need to stop wasting your hope that he will change. When you give up expecting things will be different. Accept what you have. Give up wishing for what won't happen, and now decide what to do. To help you decide, here's a question to consider. If you could look into a crystal ball and see that you will never meet a man who is better at any of these things that bother you than the man you have now, would you rather stay with him anyway, or would you still want to leave? This is your decision. There's no right or wrong. The only wrong is if you continue to try to change him. This is the conclusion of the 3 free teaching tapes, which have necessarily been brief. I hope you have found them helpful. In next week's video, I will tell you about the resources which go into much more detail with more depth in each of these topics. See you then.